Good day, Internet.
And the answer is no.
And no. Nate, thank you, though.
Oh, you're very welcome.
But what was the question? No one knows.
Ooh, could you guess?
Did you eat? Have you had ice cream in the past week, Nate?
No, I haven't. No, but I've eaten a lot of salmon in the last hour.
Okay.
So that's
Have
good.
you ever had
it's
salmon
like ice cream?
ice
but
cream?
No.
Would you like
I'm
to?
really boring with food, I'm afraid. Although I have recently really got into sushi. A lifelong ambition to get into sushi. So
Sashimi or sushi? Like the rice and everything, right?
yeah, sashimi and things like that. I'm still early in my sushi journey. I've taken several steps on what I imagine will be quite a long set of steps.
Yeah.
I hope.
It gets pretty quick. Like once you get into it, you're like,
yeah. I mean, you have to like fish, right? But it's like if you
I know some people who love going to sushi restaurants
and
who
they're
hate
vegetarian.
fish.
Yeah. No,
But,
I for sure.
You know,
I remember when I first got into sushi, because I never ate it as a kid. I don't know why, but I don't know.
expensive.
I liked fish, but just my mom wasn't like making sushi rolls at home, and we didn't go out to sushi restaurants. But when I was in college, there was this restaurant in the Outer Sunset, Raj, like not far from where I think you lived as well. And it was called Noriega Sushi on Noriega. And
I know it well.
Yeah.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, we used to live on we used to live on Noriega.
Oh, okay. So, and it was great. Went there all the time. And but when I was first, I don't know, I was 19 years old, something, I was kind of like, I don't know what to order. And I ordered the cooked sushi combo. It was like one of the things on the menu. And whoever we were with at dinner, it was like a bunch of us. And they just laughed at me. Everybody was like, really? And I was like, well, it's a menu order. Like they put it on the menu.
It's on the menu. You're allowed
like
to.
I can order it. And ever since then, I was like, no, I just want to eat raw fish because I want to.
I can't remember if it was Noriega Sushi or another one that was on Noriega that had a neon sign for a hamburger in the window.
Oh yeah, is that the one on the corner?
Sushi.
It was like on the corner.
Yeah. And it just made me laugh because it was sort of like, hey, if you've got a person in your party that doesn't like sushi, you can still eat here. They can have a hamburger.
Yeah. It was socially traumatizing to me where I was like, well, I'm never going to get cooked sushi combo again.
What was in the cooked sushi besides unagi?
It was that and like
rice.
tempura and
tempura.
It was kind of more of just like a.
It was like a bento box.
Yeah, exactly. And so after that, I was like, I'm going to eat sushi like an adult. And then I was like, oh, it was really good. And never went back.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it's weird because like there's certain things that like prawns are always going to be cooked, if just for the safety side of things. But
well, the ebi isn't cooked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, huh?
In fact, I've eaten it at a place where they pull it out of the tank.
And then as long as they devein it, last thing you want to eat is
right. They deveined it right in front of me. So
I had to devein prawns for an entire summer.
That's hard work.
But totally.
I can de-shell no problem, but deveining that's a whole other thing. I prefer my prawns.
Although if you do the traditional Chinese way, you eat the whole thing. Like you stir fry and you eat shell and all.
Yeah. No, I mean there's a whole debate. I was about to say online. Depends on what you're reading online, but there's a whole debate about like shell on or shell off. I prefer shell off because I'm just like it just works better in a stir fry for me. But
not scratchy.
You can 100% eat the shell. And some people say like, no, that's the best part.
I wouldn't say it's the best part.
Well, it's kind of like the folks who say don't get boneless chicken. Get bone in. It's going to taste better.
It'll taste
better.
Bone
in chicken is...
It's just going to taste better. And I actually agree with that, but at the same time, I'm like, it's harder all around.
Yeah, well, a part of it is just cooking. When you cook a boneless chicken, it doesn't heat evenly the way through, and the bone is very definitely a positive when you want to cook the inside of the chicken because the heat goes through the bone.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't end up rubbery, which is like the bane of any, when people say like it's really hard to screw up chicken, that's the big telltale sign you screwed up chicken if it's rubbery.
Zoe says she's not a fan of having to fiddle with her food before eating it.
Well, that's a great thing about eating prawns with the shell on. You're not fit. You just you do like
I
a
never
whale
have-
does.
I've
Or you
never
take the
played a
shell off
fiddle
before you
before
cook it, and then you don't have to fiddle while eating. It's
Or
already
you can
fiddled.
stick
about
it
a
on
violin?
pizza and eat the whole thing.
Well, then then you've got a violin, and you have to eat at the same time, and that just kind of becomes like a juggling act. Just
I mean,
30
you know,
seconds.
get
there's
out of here
always-
with your fiddle. I choose violence.
I choose violins. I'm sorry, Nate. I apologize.
That's okay. I choose violence too. It's okay to be violent.
What about violent violence?
Yeah. Hard rock
That's got to be a
violins.
horror movie out there somewhere.
10 seconds.
Somebody has
Almost certainly.
had to have thought about that.
A gorchestra.
Ooh, good one. Good one. All right, we're
Have
punchy
a
today.
good show, everybody.
Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Studio 7 in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
DTNS Live is made possible by you. Thanks to all of you, including Ken Hayes, Philip Shane, Paul Boyer, and Mike Villarreal. Thank you all.
Hey, good to have all of you, as always, and welcome to all to DTNS Live. This is the show where we discuss the tech news of the day to help us all understand it a little bit better. And today, we're very lucky to be joined by Nate Laxon, senior writer over at Bloomberg Originals. Hello, Nate.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Nate.
God, you are so lucky that Roger emailed me and said, "Would you like to come back on the show?" And I said, "Yes."
We
Of
are
course
lucky.
I would.
Don't reveal the mystery and magic of booking.
Oh, someone emailed me and asked, "Would you like to come back on the show?"
Nate,
Who
Well-
Nate
knows who
like
it
a
was?
genie in the bottle of some kind,
Because
and
when
Roger
we
just
ask
asked the
Roger
right
to
way.
do something, he always throws dice and says, if I get a 7, then I'll do it. So yeah.
Tom is being very generous. I actually just flip a quarter that says obey or do not obey and see where it lands.
Yeah, it's usually not dice anymore. Takes too long.
How would you get a 7 on a dice? I suppose you'd have more than one
Pair.
dice.
You'd have to have a
Yes.
pair.
Look, it's late in England. It's late.
I mean,
Two
if
dice.
you want to be fancy, Nate, you can get one of
I do.
those D&D die that look like a little golf ball with like.
No,
you
that was,
just roll those.
Roger's way of avoiding work. He's like, if I take this one die and get a 7, even
Listen.
though there's only 6 numbers on it, then I'll do
Yeah,
it.
but it's a 4-sided die, but it's a pyramid. That's all you have to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you get a 7 with dice? That doesn't make any
just
sense.
Well, you
get a
roll it
little
twice.
file
Seinfeld
and-
act.
Yeah.
No,
File it away.
I've played craps once or twice. Okay, if everyone's listening live, you can name this episode. If you're watching, you can watch us wave to you as you think about naming the episode. Head to dtns.showbot.tv to submit titles and vote on them throughout the show. We'll be talking about stuff that might inspire a headline idea. So make your picks. We'll check back in on the votes at the end of the show. All right, let's kick it off now with a few stories that caught our eye today.
Following up on our discussion yesterday of the SharePoint vulnerabilities, security researchers at Microsoft and Google have accused groups in China of exploiting the vulnerabilities. As far back as July 7th, Microsoft identified 3 distinct groups that they think were using the attacks for espionage, as you might have guessed, intellectual property theft, which is basically corporate espionage, and possibly for ransomware. Companies are advised, of course, to patch. The patches are available now. But also, because these have been going on for so long, they advise companies to just act as if you were compromised, whether you know you were or not. And that way you could make sure to kick anybody out of your network that you might not know is there.
Google is finally adding built-in vertical tabs to Chrome. Yes, you might be saying, wait, hold on a second. Isn't this already a feature? Well, it is in Edge and Firefox and a variety of other browsers, but now it's also coming to Chrome. Development has started with a new feature flag in Chromium that allows tabs to appear in a vertical sidebar for better organization. I would think especially useful on something like the widescreen that I'm looking at right now. It'll be testable in Chrome Canary soon, a shift away from relying on third-party extensions.
I am a Philistine. I don't want a vertical tab.
But have you ever even used one?
Yes, I've seen
okay.
it in experimental browsers before, and I always like, no, I'd rather them just be displayed.
The problem is I've been trained so long, so well
Yeah,
by all
maybe
these
that's
other
why.
browsers with the traditional like now you're telling me I got to turn it to the left? No.
You don't have to do anything. It's just an option.
No.
But yeah. No.
Well, it's kind of like in Mac OS, for example, for years, I had, my dock on the left hand side.
Oh yeah.
You can put it on the right hand side too if you want, but default is at the bottom. And people
Right.
are like, how do you live like that? And I'm like, no, it makes more sense. Like the ratio makes more sense this way.
Nate, break
My
the tie.
dock on-
Vertical or horizontal tab guy?
Well, I'm going to be on the fence because my Mac OS, the dock is on the bottom, but in Ubuntu, it's on the left.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
basically.
I don't know
Iconoclast.
which.
But that's sort of
don't
the
know who that
default
is.
for
On the
Ubuntu,
edge.
right? On the left. So it's more like you just left the way it just comes out of the box, and
You
don't
respect
it?
defaults. Yeah.
That's good.
I'm lazy, but I did know you were talking about this. I forget who it was with. Maybe it was Patrick or someone talking about the Windows dock in Windows 11 being central and having to immediately move it to the left.
That was me.
I think was it you? I would be doing that too.
I
Don't
do
mess
it
with all
automatically.
this habit.
You know why? Because Windows has trained me for the better part of 20 years to always find it in the lower left. And now you're telling me I got to look in the center? No. All right. Another thing to be looking for is Stability AI, in partnership with AMD, has launched the first stable Diffusion 3.0 medium AI model optimized for AMD's xDNA 2 NPUs, available via MUs 3.1. The text-to-image model generates high-quality 1024 by 1024 images locally, but then can be upscaled to a higher resolution 2048 by 2048 for more rigorous applications. The model runs completely on device, but requires a PC with a Ryzen AI 300 series processor or Ryzen AI Max Plus processor and the xDNA 2 NPU with at least 50 TOPS. And you will need 24 gigs of RAM because once this diffusion goes, it needs at least 9 gigs to generate the image.
Yeah. So you need a robust machine.
I mean, this is actually kind of cool because for the longest time, when you thought about GPU-based accelerating of any sort of a generative model, it's always been NVIDIA, and it's kind of nice to see AMD get their thumbs in this.
Well, those are 3 top stories that caught our eyes today, but we've got more to discuss. Researchers at La Sapienza University in ancient Rome, no, I'm just kidding, in real-day Rome, Italy, have developed WhoFi, that's like WHOFi, a method to identify individuals based on how their physical bodies alter Wi-Fi signals. This is not the first of its test, but it's the most interesting and apparently the most accurate. So it uses channel state information, known as CSI, and deep learning in tandem to generate a unique biometric fingerprint of sorts without needing you as a person to be holding a phone or using a camera of some kind. This achieves up to 95.9% accuracy on test datasets. That is really good accuracy. The team says that Wi-Fi-based tracking is actually better than video surveillance because it can work through walls. It can work in lots of lighting situations. And it can also re-identify you. So let's say the system says, I think that's Sarah. And then, the next time I walk through the room, it's like, no, that's Sarah. I recognize her gait. I recognize, how tall she is, her shoulder width, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think the thing to remember is this has been slowly evolving, like Sarah said. We had stories in the past about using it to just tell if somebody's in a room or not, which would be useful in like retirement homes for monitoring for health. We've seen it in 2020. That was more like 70% accuracy. So this is a nice high level of accuracy at 95.5%, but it can't tell who you are. It can just tell that that's the same person.
Right.
So it would have to be used with other information to identify you, but it can say the person that was in this location is also in this location just based on how you disrupt radio waves. I think that's fascinating too.
Well, and I think that's a really good point because I know some people out there are going to be like, oh, privacy implications. Oh my gosh, like what if, in a public space, like an airport, for example, I can be identified. Well, you won't. You're probably going to be identified at an airport anyway, through other means. But
Yeah,
but
for sure.
but yeah, if you as a human body are identified in an airport and then identified the same way using something like this. The privacy implications are, I mean, I think that's fair to ask, all right, well, what's this going to be used for? But it doesn't sound like, again, unless you've got that other component, that this is really a privacy scare for anybody. It's more of a, interesting what Wi-Fi can do because it's all around us.
And I think that, I mean, the key word here is definitely re-identification. This isn't identifying and tracking you in the same way, as I understand it, as a CCTV camera. It is kind of like, okay, well, we know that this fingerprint, this Wi-Fi fingerprint is you, and we have a 95% confidence that this is also you. So it's seeing the same person. But what freaks me out a little bit about these sorts of things is that if I wanted to do a crime, I would look around and say, okay, there's a camera there, and I live in the UK, so there's cameras everywhere. It's really hard when you can't see what to hide from. And that's the thing that with these sorts of technologies that always give me additional pause. It's like, it's kind of like, we have a lot of speed cameras on roads. We know where they are, so you slow down in advance. And that's also kind of the point of them being there, but they're there, so you don't do anything in front of them. If you can't see the source of the surveillance, that's where things become even creepier, and then the mind races. But in general, these things, they're research, they're proof of concept. We haven't seen any actual demonstration of these being used yet. So it's, to me, it's still interesting rather than terrifying.
You'll wait for it to get practical applications before you get terrified.
Well, and then just don't commit crimes, right? And then you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, if you don't have anything to hide, you don't have anything to worry about it, right?
You just don't do anything wrong. You're good to go. Who speeds on the highway? Come on.
Well, and so many places provide Wi-Fi. So this could be implemented pretty much any place that provides Wi-Fi, and cities and public buildings provide Wi-Fi. My mind went to, what if a coffee shop can identify, again, not having to know who you are, but this Wi-Fi signal always orders this. And you walk into the coffee shop, you don't even have to log on to the Wi-Fi, right? It just notices, oh, that's the person that always orders this, and they get your drink ready for you.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a convenience factor of something like this in the future that would make a lot of sense. It's very
tinfoil body suits for everybody.
Right.
I mean, but the tinfoil will deflect the Wi-Fi
orders
in a way that they'll be able to detect. So I don't know I don't know how you hide from this.
I alternate. When I do my crimes, I wear the tinfoil bodysuit.
Sometimes you wear tinfoil, sometimes you don't.
And sometimes I don't.
Sometimes I walk with a limp.
I wonder if this could be used in a...
I don't. They're never going to know.
Sometimes I wear an entire other human over me, so I don't look like myself.
I mean, if you could...
Well, that's going a little far, but...
If you could do, I'm thinking for, emergency services, if you could just sweep a room without someone physically have to go in and say, hey, there's no one in this room, we can move to the next room. In the case of a fire, you could save a lot of time instead of, you focus on the areas that you have people in. Like in sci-fi, there's there's bodies in this room, and you go there.
Clinton Woodward is saying Pixel phones use a different MAC address for each Wi-Fi network it connects to for this very reason. That won't do anything to this. This is not based on your connection. This is based on how you disturb the radio waves. So you don't even have to have a device on you. You could have no phone, no computer, and it will be able to tell there is something moving through the Wi-Fi, deflecting how it returns to the antenna in such a way that we can identify it and say, oh, that's the same thing that moved through this Wi-Fi space earlier. So I think that's an important thing to realize is this isn't based on the internet. This is based on how radio waves bounce off of things.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, also
it's like we don't know the name of that bear, but that bear is in your kitchen again.
Yeah, the bear didn't have to log on to the Wi-Fi.
I mean, if you want to deal with wildlife, instead of posting a bunch of what do they call those critter cams, set up some existing Wi-Fi nodes, and then you can figure out what's been going through your trash every night.
I mean, computer vision could do that too, right? And say like, that's the same raccoon every time, but this would be just add a little extra.
It would be
fidelity
wider,
to
right?
that.
Because it's being Wi-Fi and radio wave based. You could
It
have
could
wider
go over a
field without
wider
having
area.
as many devices.
But
assuming
for
you have
those
as
who are
many
like,
devices.
well, wait a second, who's regulating the use of this data? Okay, maybe it's largely anonymized, but people find a way to be able to match you with certain patterns that are a part of you personally. Does that become covered under an existing biometric privacy law, for example? No, not currently. It certainly could. I think we're in very early stages. I mean, Tom, you mentioned back in 2020 we were talking about this. It's just gotten better at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's
yeah,
no
this is-
stopping it.
Right.
Like you just have to blast out radio waves and then you can collect this data. So any regulations would be enforcement based, not like licensing based.
I don't know.
Well, yeah. Go ahead, Raj.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, if this really works, you could eventually see like your Wi-Fi router / surveillance system. Be kind of cool, or not.
I mean, that's what it is already, apparently. All right. So the UK and OpenAI have reached yet another deal. OpenAI is very good at this. So, Tom, what's the latest?
Yeah, the UK Technology Secretary Peter Kyle announced that the Department of Science, Innovation and Technology has signed a statement of intent to use OpenAI's products in public services. So when people are like, we don't know the details, that's why. This isn't an agreement. They're in the process of hammering out the details, but they seem to feel like, you know what, we're going to figure out those details. So let's sign a statement of intent. The government says it intends to use the products to increase productivity in things like education, defense, security, pursuit of justice. OpenAI will get access to some government data. We don't know what. We assume it would be to train models, but that isn't actually part of the details yet either. The agreement will also, and I'm quoting Secretary Kyle here, develop safeguards that protect the public and uphold democratic values. The agreement would also see the government explore investment in infrastructures, likely data centers. OpenAI says it will expand its London office as a result. It'll need more staff to deal with this. And we have a subject of the United Kingdom, Nate Laxon, with us today. Nate, how do you feel about your government signing this statement of intent?
Oh, I feel very strongly, very strongly. No, I would feel more strongly if I'd have seen examples of how this has actually helped or hindered anything. These things, and we've seen similar things from other companies. Anthropic had one. We've had deals signed with Palantir. This was a big controversy with the NHS, with our health service here. A deal to process data with Palantir, and a lot of people were worried that this was more UK data ending up in the hands of large American tech companies, and this is sort of continuing the argument. But my general view on these things is, let's see what actually happens. Because these things, it doesn't go from 0 to 100 overnight. You have these agreements of understanding, things are tested, sometimes things are rolled back. And at the moment, I'm interested in seeing, well, where would this be deployed? What are the safeguards that are going to be put in place before tests of those things have been conducted, and before it's rolled out more widely? And at the moment, Britain is in a very awkward position because our debt is about, I think it's almost 1-to-1 with our GDP. It's like 100% of GDP. A lot of countries are in a lot of debt. But right now, the big conversation in the UK is, how can we have less debt and actually shift the numbers back in the favor of the public purse, as it's called. So if this is the kind of thing that long-term can translate into real savings, that can have a massive benefit on the economy and on people's lives. But right now, until we've seen any demonstrations of how that would actually play out, I'm going to be a typical journalist and sit on the fence and just watch. That is how I feel. I'm not outraged or pro anything at this point.
It's kind of hard to be when you really don't know what they're going to use it for. OpenAI already has participated in a trial with the UK government called Humphrey, after the Yes Minister character, that was used to summarize public comment in a solicitation of public comment about non-surgical cosmetic procedures. So, they were asking people like, what should the regulations be around those? And it summarized that. Not particularly substantive, but it shows that OpenAI and the government have been working before, and they just want to expand that. There's also deals, and when I say deals, I mean other statements of intent with Google, Microsoft, and Anthropic to provide services to the UK government. So it feels like the government definitely wants to work with all these companies and figure out what it's good for.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the big fear is always going to be, is our data being used to train these models and therefore give these models a competitive advantage in a way that we have no benefit from and no control over? And obviously there's privacy implications there as well. So like, these are realistic concerns to have. But with any new technology, there's going to be disruption. And I think we've just got to be careful. Just be careful. That is my advice to all people. Just be careful. See a car coming.
Watch your
be
step.
careful.
Look both
See an
ways.
AI company with
Mind
a
the gap.
memorandum. Yeah.
No, I mean, I
careful.
think for a lot of folks, it's like, well, I mean, now OpenAI is going to get, a private company is going to get all this information. I mean, OpenAI has gone from, sort of nonprofit to for-profit in a short amount of time, and that story is still unfolding. But it's kind of like, okay, well, governments around the world are going to continue to make arrangements like this. This is just sort of the future of data. So if the UK were to say, yeah, we don't want to go with OpenAI or any one company, then they have to build it themselves. And, that's not feasible. Governments aren't doing that. Some governments are doing that, but not all governments are just going to be like, no, we do our own thing. We don't use any private company. That's simply not feasible right now. What could, become an issue is if, yes, there's some issue with OpenAI. Let's just say this goes forward. And a bunch of UK user data becomes part of OpenAI, and that becomes part of a data breach or some sort of a training model or something that is not acceptable, to a bunch of folks. Then the conversation is, all right, well, now what happens? But that's also a scenario that isn't happening right now.
This is where the conversation around sovereign AI gets very relevant, because there is a lot of talk about, well, you should have a nationally owned, operated, and trusted AI system that is perhaps trained on national data and is used for national purposes. And a lot of countries are exploring these ideas of sovereign AI. I believe the UK has. I haven't seen anything recently about it, but I believe we have. And I remember I was in Dubai last year at the World Government Summit, and a lot of people there were talking about sovereign AI systems for Gulf states and things like that. Like, this is a conversation that is happening in the background. It's just that right now the infrastructure, the training, the expertise, and frankly the excitement is in the hands of these very public companies, not publicly traded companies necessarily, but very public-facing companies, and that's why they get the attention and the first mover advantage.
Yeah, and they are going to use somebody's model when they make their sovereign AI. Like, it's, the same way that they probably use Microsoft Windows on most of their government systems, right? Most governments are using software from tech companies, so this is not going to be any different. It's just that the data and the location of the servers, et cetera, would be under the government's control, right?
Yeah, or I mean, it's one of the reasons that Meta's Llama models have been widely praised for helping out with things like this, because they are open source, because they can be scrutinized to a greater degree than others as well. Yeah,
I mean, if you don't mind them not being as good yet, they might get, they're getting better all the time. So it's a fair trade-off, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, folks, if you have something to add to this conversation, we always have an ongoing conversation 24/7 in our Discord. Go join the folks in there. There's lots of good stuff happening, and you can join our Discord by linking your Patreon account at patreon.com/DTNS.
A carefully curated and carefully managed music library, important hobby for many of us, myself included. But Nate, you recently ran into some issues when you tried to move your collection, your in your hands collection, over to Apple Music. So what happened, and what was the process?
Well, the background to this is I've maintained or tried to maintain the same music library, which has always been in Apple Music and before that iTunes, for exactly the last 20 years. the library that I have is the same library that I had 20 years ago. Every time I've moved machine, computer, from Windows to Mac, I've kept the same one, and just, stuff's gone in, stuff's come out. But I like having the playlists that stay the same. I like the metadata to stay the same. I like the play counts to be accurate. I like, for whatever reason, to know how many times since 2006 I've listened to this particular song, when I last skipped it, things like that. And I've been very, very kind of anal about maintaining that, at least in terms of the playlists and play counts and things like that. So over the years, back in the day, I had, no money, and there was no streaming, and acquired music the same way a lot of people did back then. But then as the money appeared, I would start buying the downloads from iTunes, and then after that, started getting really into hi-fi audio and wanted to buy the CDs and rip those into FLAC and Apple lossless, and keep those and listen to those in as high quality as possible. And then when Apple Music came along, and iTunes matched slightly before that as well, it was possible to upgrade any of these dodgy old MP3s. No matter how you got them, you could upgrade those into a higher quality format.
I forgot about iTunes Match. Yeah, you could.
Yeah, and it's still sort of there as part of Apple Music. It's just that it has DRM applied to it, unless you actually had the iTunes Match subscription. And again, I did that for a long time. But over the last couple of years, Apple Music's addition of lossless and high-res lossless has just made me think I need to take a super step back look at the entire setup of this library, because the problem I have now with this library is that I could have a song that is uploaded and not matched, and that might be a 128 kilobit per second MP3 file from 2005 next to a track from that album that I purchased because I particularly liked it, next to a track that was matched, next to an Apple Music track that was, say, a deluxe edition, and they could all be sitting side by side in the library. And if I'm listening to that library, the volume might change, the quality changes, and it just got a little bit ridiculous. So I started this process of saying, okay, well, if I'm going to actually upgrade all this stuff, what is the best way forward? And I decided the only way to do it was to effectively screenshot all the metadata, all the instances of where these songs existed in playlists, then delete those files. It was terrifying. I could feel my stomach like gurgling and my blood pressure rising as I did it for the first time in 20 years for some of these songs, and go into Apple Music and re-add them, and then literally go through and manually update the play counts by clicking to the end and enter click until
and how many thousands
wait,
of
whoa,
songs
whoa,
are we
whoa.
talking about? Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I want to know that too, Sarah, but that's how you update the play count, is literally end the song and restart, and end the song and restart?
Yes. It's faster than you'd think, but I tried using it as a script. But the problem is because the library itself, although it is technically based on your machine, it is synced to the cloud. The syncing means that it can disregard things like changes to metadata that haven't been applied within Apple Music itself. So if you script it, it's not guaranteed that will carry over. And I'm terrified of that not carrying over, because if you lose it once, the data is out of sync and I can't trust it anymore. And I've got 20 years of trust with my maintenance of this to keep them tracked. So to answer the other question, yes, I could do this with thousands of songs, but I started with the ones that I mostly listen to at work. They tend to be, I'm a big metalhead, and so I tend to listen to a lot of extreme metal, death metal, black metal, and things like that. And part of the reason why I like to listen to those at work is because to most people, they do sound like noise. The words, even if they are English, you can't really understand them because they're screamed at high decibels. And so it's kind of like weird. In a weird sort of way, it blocks out the noise and it helps me focus. And so I started with those albums. And if you want to look up bands like Cannibal Corpse and Archspire and other things, like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And so, it's 10, 12 tracks per album. I've probably done about 100 albums at the point that Roger emailed and asked if I wanted to come on the show and did I have a topic. And I'll continue doing that, in descending order of how much I love those albums and those bands.
There has to be a way to automate that.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But there isn't a way that
Nate
I can
is
trust.
Literally talking about how there doesn't seem to be a good way to do that and still keep all the data that you're looking to keep.
There are ways of doing it. It's just that and certainly you can save the metadata. There are apps, and things that will do that. And there are scripts and Apple scripts and things you can do to put the data back. But I have tested some of these, and the the ability of it to sync to the cloud consistently and not be disregarded has been hit and miss in the past. So I've just defaulted to do it manually and then trust it.
How does this affect royalties?
Well, if anything, it makes them better because I'm going from
better for
tracks
the
that
artist, right? But
better for the artist because, you know, most of the music in it that I have at this point, you know, the vast majority is music that I either paid for. You know, I had thousands of CDs at one point, or I paid for the downloads, or at the very least, if it was some terrible old, you know, Napster MP3 from 2003, it's been iTunes matched and I paid for that. So,
well, I guess what I'm wondering, you know, so there's all kinds of procedures that Spotify and Apple Music and others take against click fraud, right? Where people try to drive up the streams so that they get a bigger payday.
What you mean.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean well, the most I've had to click was about, I think, 180 plays on a single song. So on some albums, my favorite albums, they might have between 100 and 50 and 100 plays per song for some of these albums. And that's another thing that I really like, because generally speaking, the lowest number in any album is the maximum number of times that I've listened to that album in full. And I find that to be a satisfying figure to look at.
That makes sense.
But in terms of getting royalties, I don't think they're going to make that much from 100 extra clicks per song. But if so,
it's probably not enough to trip off anti-fraud mechanisms or anything like that either. So
I would doubt it. But a lot of the bands that I'm listening to, like, they're not making huge money off these songs anyway. So, you know, they probably afforded a new haircut collectively. And these dudes have a lot of hair, so maybe not even a whole haircut.
Yeah, but not even a whole haircut. Yeah,
just half. Which again, maybe it's a style, but so that's it. But the downside to this that I just thought I'd mention is that it does shift the onus of, or not onus, but it shifts the burden. Basically, Apple owns my music library now. Mm-hmm. You know, I went from owning 95% of all the music I had that I paid for, and I have hard physical copies of. But I got rid of those CDs. I donated them or sold them. And now, if the rights are lost by Apple, then those songs are gone, and I don't have them anymore. I have the.
And you don't have MP3 backups of them locally either.
I mean, I probably do have the backups of the Apple lossless CD rips and the FLAC rips on a backup somewhere. Yeah, but
it's not something you're doing on purpose. Yeah.
No, definitely not. So, but I decided that, you know, the convenience, the consistent quality, and particularly for some of these albums, you know, that upgrade to high res lossless is really quite special, and very valuable. And knowing that, again, when I'm at the office, I press play, and I know that is the top quality, best quality streamed version of that song that I can get. It takes my mind off, oh no, we've gone into low quality MP3 territory here, this is terrible, and that distracts me from my work. So there are reasons.
Well,
I'm getting
people,
older.
That's one of the big fears, right? Is like, well, what if, you know, 10 of my favorite albums Apple loses the rights to, and now I have no access to them anymore. I've donated the CDs, so I can't even manually play the songs again. That does happen. As somebody who's used, I use Apple Music, but, you know, this would go for Spotify or you know, other competing services. It doesn't happen that often.
Rarely,
It may happen, you know, here and there, especially for maybe an album that's, you know, a little bit more niche and, you know, hard to find and that sort of stuff. But it really isn't an issue most of the time. In fact, it's never an issue for me.
I feel like it used to happen more in the earlier days, and as these products have matured, it happens less and less.
Is there an alternative to Apple Music that you looked at before deciding to just kind of go all in with Apple Music?
No, but a huge amount of the reason for that is to preserve the library, to preserve that metadata. You know, I want to be able to see it, and I've maintained that library for 20 years, and to move it to another platform I would lose basically everything, and that's very valuable. And I'm in the Apple ecosystem anyway. You know, all the products are Apple and iCloud and so on and so forth. So there was no good reason for me to consider switching, and there still isn't. I'm very happy with Apple Music, but that was the reason that I definitely the reason I stuck with it. And you know, there have been times in the past where I've and I can't think of an example, but there have been situations where I have actively not done something in order to make sure that that library wasn't disturbed, like move machines, and it didn't carry over. So I went back to the old machine. I remember many years ago, but I definitely have remembered doing that before. I remember once I lost an iPod after being on holiday for 2 weeks, and I wasn't gutted that I lost the iPod. I was gutted that I'd lost all the play counts and things. Like it's a weird, maybe I'm a freak, but
no, I think if you are, we all are.
Well, listen,
data is very interesting.
I am not as dedicated to preserving my play counts as you have been. But if this makes you feel any better, when I was a kid, I would put Scotch tape on my cassettes and use a pencil to update every time I played the cassette, so that I had manual play counts of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You and I are very similar, I think, in terms of being data hoarders and keeping every email we've ever sent.
Yeah.
I'm a proud data hoarder, lifetime member of Reddit's data hoarder community. And
it's a good subreddit.
It is. They are gods.
If you ever want to pick up a new hard drive, that's the number one spot you should go to see what
I
everyone.
thought you guys were kidding. This is actually a subreddit.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean, listen, I if I don't take 10,000 steps in a day, I'll just like walk in place and make sure I hit that. Does it really matter?
Yeah. It's the same idea, right?
Yeah, it's like do 48 steps matter? It's like no, it just makes you feel better.
Oh yeah.
You know what's going on. You know, where's my data? How many times did I listen to this song? How many times did I take a step today? How many stairs have I climbed? All that stuff. It's not everybody cares, but for
I'm
those
just
of
a
us
little
who do,
lazier than Nate, so I haven't gone, because I'm like the idea of hitting that play button over and over. I'm like, I guess I'll just live without that play count when I've migrated from one thing to another.
Yeah,
but I feel bad about it. I feel lazy.
I don't feel lazy about it. I mean, I went all digital on music a long time ago just because, I mean, like an entire closet every time I moved apartments was just dedicated to CDs and cassettes that I didn't use. I didn't play. I could find them online, or I didn't even care about them anymore. Like there are plenty of albums that I'm just like, I liked that album, but I just don't want to listen to it like anytime.
And you never know when you're going to start caring about something again.
That's true. That's definitely true. But, as far as just kind of like decluttering, I found that, going streaming only made sense to me. And like I said before, it's like, it is very rare that I'm like, oh, wow, I can't access that anymore. I feel like my library is in much better shape than it used to be. I know where everything is. My playlists are there. If I want to listen to all my favorite stuff, then it's like, that's just a button I push. I listen to all my favorite music, which is all the stuff that I've already listened to that many times. So it considers to be my favorite music. And it works out well.
I don't know if you can see it, but I found one of my old cassettes, and you can see the Scotch tape, but you can't see that can't see that it says 19 and a half.
It's another great instance of Tom's shelf containing everything Tom ever needs.
The tape.
Stars on Long Play.
Okay.
Performed by Stars On. Stars
not
on
Stars,
45.
the Canadian band. I love Stars.
Yeah.
Data hoarding
something today.
is a disease I'm glad to suffer from. It has recently extended to discovering a bag of old love letters from girlfriends when I was 15 that I have recently scanned when I was last at my mother's house, because I'm like, I wanted her to throw those out when I left home because I didn't care about those when I was 20. But at 40, suddenly, let's take a little peek. What did Lois say back then?
Wes.
Gutted.
Now we all want to know.
Quite a bit. If there's a whole bag of letters. I totally get that. There's I don't know. It's probably all in my mom's attic somewhere. But there's stuff like that it's not something I need to access. It's not meaningful to me on a day-to-day basis, but in the grand scheme of life, it is.
Yeah, it'll become it. It'll become the most important thing that you wish you hadn't forgotten.
Well, another important thing a lot of people care about is shopping. And people love good value. They love a good discount. Facebook Marketplace has been you have many options, but a very, very popular way to kind of be what Craigslist was back in the day. Your default stop to either sell or buy used stuff. You can get a great deal on Facebook Marketplace. I've had very good success with Facebook Marketplace, although you do have other options. So, Roger, there seems to be a bit of a trend going on. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I peruse Facebook Marketplace, if not daily, every other day, mainly because it's just an open tab on my window of tabs. And most of the searches revolve around either automobiles or used audio gear, mainly just stereo hi-fi equipment. But I also use it as research because I got a stack of stuff like, collectible plates, antique stuff that I really need to unload because, one, I don't really appreciate it. Two, it takes up space. And so I just try to find out what things are going for. But one of the things I keep coming across, regardless of what I'm searching for, are mirrors. Mirrors, body full-length mirrors, little novelty mirrors, objects that have a high sheen reflective mirror-like finish. In fact, I have a bunch of examples, but there was a story that came across the Poke back in March, and it kind of detailed some of the funnier ones that people have done, where people are literally posing in very either a comedic or perhaps a very avant-garde way in order to draw attention to the fact that they're selling a mirror. And
like the person with a beautiful full-length mirror, but a towel
Yes.
over their head because they're like, it's not about me, but this is the only way I can take a photo of like this mirror.
but it draws your eye.
And the caption, not the ghost, the mirror. As if like you're not buying the person with the blanket over there.
yeah, no,
I'm
the
sorry.
ghost not for sale, but the mirror we're trying to unload. That's
I tell you
actually a
what,
very
though,
nice
I
mirror.
would buy
that.
this. I would buy their story. Whatever
You
that
would?
person's story in for
Oh, yeah.
taking that photograph,
Yeah.
I'd pay to hear that.
And it's something that you would consider pretty banal, initially maybe a little prosaic, but people have turned it into sort of a creative outlet. And it is so big that it actually has its own subreddit. It has the Reddit's called Mirrors for Sale. And there are literally dozens and dozens of examples. In fact, we got Joe has one set up. Has one set up when he pulls it up, but of people just literally just doing weird. Yeah, they're just doing weird poses in front of mirrors, and the idea is to
that
get
looks
you
like
to
a
look
horror
at it.
movie.
Yeah, but I guess the broader question is, this can't just be mirrors, right? It just can't be highly reflective surfaces. It just can't
I don't know.
be-
I want to see some more mirrors. These
All
are
right.
hilarious.
Show us more.
Yeah.
Show us more.
show us most, Joe.
I mean,
Yeah. Oh, there's
With the
one
cat?
with a cat.
Now that one's fun. So anybody who's not watching the video, cat is in the bathroom sink, but then there's the regular bathroom mirror, so you see that reflection. But then there's another mirror that's like 3x, that you use for makeup or whatever. So then so you get three cats in one image.
And that's
Great
what they're
stuff.
selling.
And there's also
Three-cat
scissors
mirror.
and some tweezers in the. That's the thing
Oh, yeah,
about. That's the thing about.
The guy peeking in while she was trying
Yeah.
to take a picture of the laptop. Is she
Wearing a
selling the
Corona
laptop?
shirt.
She's using the laptop to take a picture of the mirror.
She's
Yeah.
taking a picture with the laptop. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fair.
And
Use what
this
you
is-
got.
This is the thing I love most about the secondhand market is, some people are pretty professional about this stuff. It's like people move merchandise and, it's like actually a living that you do. But so many other people are just sort of like, I need to I don't know, I'm going to sell this mug, right? So I'll just take a picture of the mug on the kitchen counter. But then it's like, you see so much else on that person's counter. And it's like, I want to know more about you.
Oh, and that's the that's the whole thing.
You obviously ate cornflakes for breakfast. There's so much context you get from these.
There has been a
images.
rapid development of kind of the sales pitch or tactics where people are kind of trying to engross you with not just the thing they're selling, but everything around it. And I'm curious to know if you've noticed any sort of odd or perhaps curious phenomenon on any of the secondhand market platforms that you use to buy or sell stuff. Like one of the things I noticed in Facebook Marketplace is there's been a slew of vintage automobiles, mainly because they're 30 years or older, that have recently cropped up. And I'm curious because people are asking a lot for essentially what is a rusted out, like a Jeep Comanche, or an a 19 like an 80s era Cadillac, which to be honest wasn't the best decade for Cadillacs, but it's that there is very telling that you have sort of these weird phenomena, these sort of trends that come into it, and I can't be the only one that's noticing this stuff.
Well, I think you get a lot of folks who, let's say I've got that 1985 Eldorado, I don't know, and I see that someone else's that's more or less like mine went for a certain price, or even they're asking for that. It's that market fluctuation. You see that on eBay as well. I mean, you see that on pretty much any place that you can buy something online. It's like if you can get a certain price for something, unless it's very uniquely special for some reason, then all those prices, for everything that's in that vein are either going to go up or down.
This is just the best thing I've discovered this year, and I'm not kidding. I saw a 5-day-old seal the other day, and I thought that was the best thing.
Like
yes,
an animal?
the animal,
Okay.
not
A 5-day-old?
Not like a royal seal or something.
Like a little baby seal.
Yes, exactly. 5 days old.
Wow.
5 days old. That has just been demoted to the second best thing I've seen this year, because this is gold. This is gold. This is humor. This is lolcats in 2006 level internet humor.
But it's
just the best.
But it's multifaceted, because it's not just about I'm making a meme. I'm trying to make a sale at the same time, trying to be funny and try to be noticed. I mean, yeah, you get it with the apparel stuff where people purposely do poses because it's like half fashion model and half I need to clear out my closet. But with this stuff, it's not just mirrors. It's also like they sell their TVs, and it when you have your TV off, it's a pretty reflective screen, so they do odd stuff on that. With the
you're getting attention. I mean, it's a commercial, right? It's
it's
literally a commercial to grab someone's attention and make a sale.
Why mirrors, though? Why are there so many mirrors?
That's the big
not
one.
only I don't know the Poke, but it feels like a BuzzFeed style place. So it's like, well, they could have gone looking around and followed. But Roger, you're saying you see this naturally as well.
There's a lot of mirrors. Who has that many mirrors just floating around?
Why so many mirrors
sale?
being sold? Why is that the thing?
Did everyone become a vampire and said I don't cast
all
reflection
have mirrors
anymore?
in your homes? I'm not talking about the
I've
vanity
never
mirror
sold
in the
one.
bathroom.
Never sold one.
I've never sold one either.
So why are so many people
collecting them.
selling their mirrors? I'm not questioning why mirrors exist. I'm saying, why are they being sold so often?
Well, because somebody
and they're not
is moving
expensive.
and there's
They're
no room and it's
I
heavy.
guess.
But
I've got a
there would
mirror
be-
right now in my house.
You'd see a bunch of other stuff along with it, but we're seeing mirrors more often than other things that you would also sell when you move. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, is this just sort of a social outreach through a marketplace that I'm unaware of? Hey, this is how we
is
give
there a
each other
hidden
high fives.
vocabulary?
Yeah, something I'm
it's
totally
a-
missing because I'm like an old geezer.
It's a reflection of our
Right.
economy.
Wouldn't that be funny
See what
if
you
all
did
the
there.
mirror people were like, listen to them. They think it's about us selling mirrors.
The squares.
I just love how innocent.
I want to
Like-
know. I want to be in the know because I feel like I'm so out of touch. Maybe in the DTNS Live Mirror universe, there will be. We'd be a little more reflective of what Nate was commenting about.
Okay.
But
now we're getting punny.
all right,
fine.
Jeez.
No,
Yeah.
I
Well,
like it.
Hey.
Sarah, let Roger frame the story however he wants.
Okie doke. I do actually, now, all kidding aside, I have this mirror in my house. I have lots of mirrors. I don't know. I'm a mirror person. You get, you reflect light. Mirrors are great. But I have a mirror that's really, really heavy, and I don't trust myself to hang it appropriately. And it's been sitting in a corner since I moved into my house a year and a half ago. And it's kind of like, at this point, I'm like, I don't really have anywhere to put it. Maybe I just sell it. I could put it on the street, but it's like, it's worth more than zero.
Let's do this, Sarah.
Yes,
You
we'll
got
all
to
get in on the photo.
Let's bring our creative minds to bear.
Yeah, it's like all of our faces, and some jazz
You
hands.
have to do it.
And
You have to do it.
And we put it on Facebook Marketplace and just see, just see what happens. Can you imagine
is the
somebody coming
camera?
over to my house to pick it up, and they're like, "But where is everybody?"
I wanted to
Like,
meet the other people.
Oh yeah, that
Yes.
was just a dinner party I had once. Sorry, just the mirror.
Yeah, they're not. Those people aren't real.
The
I
ghost
mean-
is not for sale.
Okay, the other one that I've noticed are the rooms for rent. Like, like, hey, we have a place in our house or wherever, and our roommate's moving out. And everyone does sort of a group shot, but they're all doing like weird poses. And then they do like very esoteric shots of the room.
Okay.
There was one guy who literally looked like he put his bed in a giant cubby hole in the wall. Like it wasn't even a room. You had to climb into it. It was like the most, it's like up in the Hollywood Hills. It's just a bizarre thing. And
That
No,
explains.
I've seen that in creative
Real.
roommate situations before.
But like that, there's another one where people are trying to establish some sort of like background or story or something. You want to like just phone in.
Got to
and see
stand
what's
out.
going on.
Yeah.
Gotta stand out. Yeah, it's like what's the name for those things? They're like
Mirrors.
mirrors, but also like outside of a store where
Oh,
they're
the
trying
things
to get
that
attention.
wave and they
The
blow.
wavy
oh,
things
the
with
wavy guy
with the
thing.
air.
Man.
Like whatever those are. I the first time I saw one, I was like, that's so
Mr. Happy
stupid.
Pants.
Like why would anybody do that? And now I'm like, no, it gets me to look.
It makes you look every time.
Makes
Yeah.
you look. Yeah. And
Even
and
if you
they're
roll your
actually
eyes.
and they're kind of fun. Like they look fun. I would want one for myself in my house.
It's the bunny on the table.
Yep. All right. We are going to check out our mailbag now. If you don't pay for ChatGPT Plus, you wouldn't be alone, but our friend Dan Campos shares an interesting perk for those of you who use the delivery service Rappi, that's RAPPI, in either North, Central, or South America.
Saludos, friends of DTNS. I am here to make you an offer that you can refuse. Delivery platform Rappi has announced a new perk for subscribers of its Rappi Pro Black plan. In addition to unlimited free delivery from nearby restaurants, users will now get 6 months of access to ChatGPT Plus at no extra cost. The offer is available in Colombia, Argentina, Peru, Chile, Uruguay, Costa Rica, Ecuador, and Mexico. A Rappi Pro Black membership costs around 179 pesos, which is around $10, while a ChatGPT Plus subscription normally costs $20 per month. All it takes is paying for 1 month of Rappi Pro Black to unlock the 6-month ChatGPT Plus benefit, making this a solid deal even if you rarely use Rappi for food delivery. For this and more offers, listen to the latest episode of Noticias de Tecnología Express. We bring the news straight to your ears at no extra cost. Back to you, amigos.
No Rappi
Dan.
subscription necessary to get Dan's news. That's great. That is a cool perk too.
Every so often there will be some partnership like this where it's like it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
makes sense, even if if you're not using Rappi or you don't intend to use ChatGPT Plus or pay for ChatGPT Plus. It's like you get these deals with mobile carriers all the time. It's like I'll
Yeah.
just be like, all right, I mean, why not? If it's
Or your
free
credit
or if
card.
it's heavily discounted, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have a credit card thing that gives me a credit card reimbursement for Uber One. So I just get Uber One and it charges me and Uber gets money and then my credit card just gives me a credit for it. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Stuff
It's
like that.
everybody
Same kind of thing.
wins. I, speaking of Apple Music, I through my Verizon wireless plan, which is unlimited, but there are obviously some caveats. But I've had it for years. At some point, it was like, oh, and you can just get Apple Music as part of your monthly
Yeah,
plan.
right. Yeah,
It just sort of appeared one day, and I was like, okay, I'll just pay $0 instead of $10 a month.
Yeah.
If they ever take it away, I'll have to start paying for Apple Music again, but I haven't
Yeah.
for a long time. It's just part
T-Mobile
of my
gives
plan.
me Netflix Basic, and then I have to pay for the tier that I have, and a couple other things. I think Apple TV Plus might be one of them.
I get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with mine, which is a
Nice.
good deal.
Yeah. Well, we don't use cash for any of this, but we have this ongoing thread about not using cash and using digital payments. Gabrielle wrote in and asked the question, what does that do to bartenders and their tips or other tipping cash welcomed oriented jobs? Of course, you can write in the tip on your tab, but there's probably a delay in the bartender receiving their tips. Cash is immediate and has no processing fee. I have to say, in the past, long past, like in the 90s, worked at places where people would tip through credit card, and at the end of the night, they would cash you out. So they would give you the cash equivalent of what was written on the credit card statement. So that's one way you can do it. I've worked at other places where all the tips, whether they were cash or not, just got added to your check, so you didn't get them immediately. Different ways of doing it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the immediacy of cash, of course, is, can't really replicate that. But, there's, gosh, I can't think of a place that was cash only. Actually, yes, I can. There's a bagel place in LA, and I don't know, I was there for whatever reason, like getting some bagels, and it's like really popular. So there was a long line. And, I finally get up to the front of the line, and I make my order, and it's like, oh, yeah, it's cash only. And I'm like, it's cash only? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I was just getting all of these people in line just had cash. I had never been there before, so, of course, I just wasn't in the know. And it was like, inconvenient for me to get cash, and so I just left. So, I also just don't carry cash almost ever, which does sometimes in situations like the bagel place, you wish, gosh, I wish I had a 20 on me right now. That really would have helped. But otherwise, if you're in the service industry, I think you probably have some strong thoughts about this one way or another.
Yeah, write in feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Let us know, like, how do you get your tips these days with so many digital payment options? Obviously, if you work at a place that's all cash, then we're guessing you get it by cash. But if you don't, I'd be interested to hear about it.
Mm-hmm. And feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com for this or anything else that we talk about on this show, past shows, or even something you want us to talk about on a future show. We want your feedback. And of course, if you're a patron, you can comment on anything we post on Patreon as well. We read every single email and every single comment, and sometimes they get into the show. Nate Laxon, we're glad you got into the show today. Let folks know where we can keep up with everything else that you do.
Thank you. Well, I write a lot of the documentaries for Bloomberg. Bloomberg Originals is the place to go for that. We just won 2 Emmys, so that's a big thing for us at the moment. And I'm not really on social media anymore, but you can email me, laxon@icloud.com. Drop me an email, and hopefully I'll be back again.
Fantastic! Yeah, can't wait to have you back already. We miss you already, Nate.
We do.
And you haven't even
Here I am.
left.
Don't go.
Oh, amazing. We got to pick a title before we go out of here, actually. During the show, folks have been submitting titles and voting on them at dtns.showbot.tv. Far and away, of the 99 votes, 10 of them, so literally 10%, have gone to the Wraith 86 submission, tinfoil bodysuit. I think people just like picturing it.
Yeah.
We also have G. James B. right behind with 7 votes. Let's get vertical.
Yes, like a Chrome tab.
Batfig 2001 with ChatGPT, TEA, like the tea biscuit.
Yeah.
The Wraith 86 also up there with Wi-Fi body shaping. We have mirrors from Zoe. What else do we like here? Nate's extraordinary playlist. That's another good one.
I do like Icon has a mirror.
There was Saray TW's I'm smarting with the man in the mirror.
I'm smarting with the
Telling
man
him to
in
change
the
his
mirror.
ways.
And then Zoe brings bacon with a reflection of our economy. I don't know. So many good ones today. So many.
Sarah, what do we go with?
Well, we had to go with something mirror related. However, we went in another direction with the Wraith 86's Wi-Fi body shaping.
Thank you, the Wraith 86 and everyone else. Yay! Big thanks to everybody who supports us in all the myriad ways that you can, including watching us on LinkedIn, watching us on YouTube, watching us on Twitch. Technomensch gave us some bits on Twitch. That puts a little cash in our pocket. Thank you, Technomensch. Thank you, Zoe. Crazed Canuck followed us on Twitch as well. Shirab subscribed with Prime. Thank you for that. Appreciate that as well. Appreciate everybody supporting us, including patreon.com/DTNS.
Indeed. We have a store. If you're looking for maybe a gift for a coworker, a colleague, or someone in your life that you know likes our show, we have lots of ideas over at dailytechnewsshow.com/store. We got mugs, we got t-shirts, we got mouse pads, we got our new DTNS Live logo. They're great gifts and a great way for you to also support us and the show and have a little conversation piece. Next time someone's like, hey, what's DTNS Live all about? Then, there you go. Send us pics of yourself or somebody that you know in one of our shirts or using one of our mugs, hopefully to drink liquid out of, but, no judgment. You could put ice cream in the mug, too.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, send it our way if you're so inclined. Not mandatory, but we'd love to see more of that out in the wild. Just a reminder, we are live Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. That is 2000 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Good to see you all. We'll be back tomorrow with Scott Johnson joining us. Talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.